She didn't flinch. She didn't hesitate. When Caitlin Clark went down, again, Sophie Cunningham made a decision. And what followed wasn't a foul. It wasn't a fight. It was a statement. Because in the heat of another brutal game, with elbows flying and bodies hitting the floor, new footage captured the exact moment Sophie snapped. And it changes everything. Is she a hero, a villain, or just the only one willing to do what no one else would? Stick around. This isn't the WNBA you thought you knew. And if you're into stories the league hopes you miss, consider subscribing. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
And you see a little shove here and there. You see her throwing a little elbow here and there. You see her talking smack. Caitlin Clark does this. So, on top of the fact that she can play, because the girl's a shooter.
Here we go again. Another game, another accidental elbow to Caitlin Clark's face. At this point, it's starting to feel less like defense and more like an open audition for the WWE. This time, it's JC Sheldon, who apparently mistook Clark's eyeball for a loose ball. One swipe, and Caitlin's down, holding her face again. And guess what? No whistle, no flagrant, just vibes. And then, because one cheap shot wasn't enough, Marina Mabrey crashes in like she's been waiting all season for this exact moment. She doesn't defend. She detonates. Clark hits the hardwood again, and the refs, they just blink and move on like it's part of the pregame warm-up.
And she's an assist maven as well, leading the league in assists and stuff like that. She's special, 4th in league MVP honors last year, Rookie of the Year. But she's also somebody, Doggy, you will appreciate this, kind of like Larry Bird was. When Larry Bird shooting the lights out and stuff like that, but Larry Bird also...
So let's ask the real question. At what point does this stop being physical play and start being targeted abuse? Is Caitlin Clark getting the rookie treatment, or is this something else entirely? So tell me straight, are you team protect Caitlin or team it's part of the game? Is Caitlin paying the price for being a phenom, or is she just expected to take the hits in silence? Be honest and drop your take in the comments, because at this point, we're not just talking about basketball. We're talking about respect, safety, and whether the league has the guts to protect its biggest star. Don't worry, this conversation isn't ending with a technical foul.
You know, I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long.
Let's make one thing clear. Sophie Cunningham didn't lose control. What she did wasn't a meltdown. It was a response. And if you've been watching how Caitlin Clark has been treated this season, you'd understand why. After JC Sheldon swiped Clark across the face and Marina Mabrey sent her crashing to the floor, most players would have looked the other way. Maybe they'd say something after the game. Maybe post a cryptic story on social media. But Sophie, she took action on the court in real time. She waited. She watched. And then, when the moment was right, she made her move. It wasn't reckless, it wasn't dirty, it was deliberate. Sophie wrapped up Sheldon with force, sure, but it was the kind of force that said, I saw what you did, I won't let it slide.
Right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical, and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So
it wasn't about revenge. It was about accountability, about making sure Caitlin didn't have to fight every battle alone. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. When refs don't call it, when the league stays silent, someone eventually has to act. And in this case, that someone was Sophie. Was it intense? Absolutely. But maybe intensity is exactly what this team and this league needed. If you agree, let me know in the comments. Did Sophie go too far? Or did she finally say what everyone else was too scared to?
Start with the play that set off the entire night. So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her.
Let's stop sugarcoating it. What Sophie Cunningham did out there wasn't good defense. It was a calculated message, hand-delivered to every player in the league who thinks targeting Caitlin Clark is a game plan. She didn't scream. She didn't throw punches. She didn't need to. Sophie moved like someone who's seen enough. Enough missed calls, enough cheap shots, enough silence from the refs and the league. And instead of tweeting about it or crying foul in a post-game interview, she responded the old-school way, with impact. That wrap-up on JC Sheldon. That wasn't random. That was Sophie putting the WNBA on notice. If you touch her, you deal with me. And in that moment, she wasn't just a teammate. She was a warning label.
To the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her. Like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabry, bad out of hell, chucks Caitlin.
And suddenly, all that chirping from earlier, gone. Because when Sophie locks in, it's not just physical, it's psychological. She's not trying to fight, she's making sure you think twice before trying it again. And let's be real, every team wishes they had a Sophie Cunningham, someone who doesn't wait for permission to protect the franchise player. If you're into this kind of energy, you're in the right place. If the video's hitting the way Sophie did, drop a sub and stick with us. It's only getting spicier from here.
Definitely the W, especially if Sophie Cunningham is going to continue to fight people for messing with Caitlin Clark, because it feels like Caitlin Clark is going to get treated in a certain way in this league for a long time. She's not a rookie anymore. Okay? She's already proved herself. She's won. And then there were some, ladies last night that were trying to go a little physical. Mm-hmm. And in last year, I think something we noticed, and I think a lot of people noticed, is when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing.
That's right.
Nobody would do nothing.
You'd think after watching Caitlin Clark get poked in the eye, shoved to the floor, and dragged through the hardwood like a practice dummy, maybe, just maybe, the officials would take control. But nope, the whistle, nowhere to be found. Just like the accountability. Let's review what the league called. A flagrant one on JC Sheldon for swiping Clark in the face. No ejections, no technicals for the shove. Marina Mabry, not tossed. Tina Charles wagging her finger in Clark's face. Apparently that's just leadership. Meanwhile, Clark walks off rubbing her eye and catching her breath. And Sophie? She's forced to do what the league refuses to, set the tone.
It was like, hey, they didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Boom!
Wow.
JC Sheldon, that's cute. You want to poke her in the eye, then push her into a boom Mabry thing? Go ahead. I'll take a take foul, and you'll eat the deck a little bit here.
Because when the referees fall asleep at the wheel, someone's got to grab it. And Sophie Cunningham did just that, without apology, without hesitation. Let's not pretend the WNBA hasn't seen this coming. Caitlin's been taking elbows since game 1, and the excuse is always the same. It's just physical basketball, right? And my coffee's just extra hot when it burns my mouth. So here's a thought. If the league won't protect its most valuable player, someone else will. And she just happens to wear number 9 in Indiana. Let me know in the comments. Are the refs really this blind or just selectively asleep? Because at this point, Sophie's not the problem. She's the only one paying attention.
Nah. Enough's enough, bruh. Enough is enough, bruh. What is going on? WNBA, y'all need to get this under control. This is ridiculous. Marina Mabry, you just put yourself in the Dejanay Carrington box. You dirty slime ball player, you come and blindside Caitlin Clark.
Let's talk about the nickname that's been circling online like wildfire. The Enforcer. At first glance, it sounds harsh, like Sophie Cunningham's some hired muscle sent in to stir the pot. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Every successful team has one, and every superstar needs one. MJ had Rodman, Steph had Draymond, and now Caitlin Clark has Sophie. She's not reckless, she's calculated. She's not trying to start fights, she's trying to finish the nonsense before it gets out of hand. When opponents stop playing basketball and start targeting bodies, someone's gotta flip the switch. Sophie just does it better and smarter than most.
Marina Mabry assaulted and tried to fight Caitlin Clark today. This is ridiculous. WNBA, Kathy Engelberg, do something. Do y'all want to go back to 55 to 60% of the people not watching shit again? I normally don't cuss in my blogs, but forget that. This was bull.
And let's be honest, the same fans calling her dirty would be praising her if she wore their team's jersey. But since she's wearing Indiana red, suddenly she's the villain. Please, if you've been nodding your head through this video, silently thinking, finally, someone gets it, then this channel is probably your new favorite spot. Tap that subscribe button like Sophie tapped JC Sheldon's patience. And in the comments, tell me this. If your franchise had a Caitlin Clark, would you want a Sophie guarding her back, or would you risk letting her fend for herself? Think carefully. Championships are built on players like Sophie.
What happened in this game? But first, let's talk about Sophie and JC. All right, JC Sheldon. My goodness, dog.
You'd think that after everything that went down, Caitlin Clark on the floor, Sophie Cunningham going full enforcer mode, chaos erupting in real time, the WNBA would have something to say, some kind of statement, a suspension, a fine, anything. But nope, what did we get?
My goodness. Now, honestly, I felt like Sophie might have wanted a piece of JC after the Caitlin Clark and JC kind of scuffle going on, right? Then this happened. Okay.
Crickets. No public reprimand, no league-wide discussion, just a quiet shrug and a few vague "we're reviewing the footage" lines from behind the curtain. Meanwhile, social media exploded. Clips of Sophie's takedown hit 1 million views before the game was even over. Debate shows couldn't stop talking about it. Half the internet crowned her a hero, the other half clutched their pearls and called for her head. And through it all, Sophie didn't say a word, no tweet, no interview, just a presence, louder than anything a mic could capture. She let the court speak for her, and guess what? It spoke volumes. The league may want to act like this is just another Tuesday night game, but the fans know better. Something shifted. The energy is different now. You don't just go viral for a hard foul. You go viral when the entire league realizes one player just redrew the boundaries. So tell me, do you think the WNBA's silence is protecting the game or avoiding the truth? Sound off below. We're not done yet. Before this season, Sophie Cunningham was known as a solid shooter, a tough competitor, a reliable presence. But now, she's something else entirely. She's become a symbol, not because she asked to be, but because the league left a void, and she filled it. In a WNBA where finesse and PR sound bites often take center stage, Sophie brought back something raw, something real. She brought back fear, not the kind that hurts the game, but the kind that restores balance to it. Opposing teams used to circle Caitlin Clark like sharks. Now they glance over their shoulders. Now they measure the risk. Now they hesitate, not because of a rule book, because of Sophie. You can feel it, this unspoken shift on the court. Players don't just strategize around Clark's shooting range anymore. They account for the shadow next to her, the one who doesn't flinch, the one who steps in when nobody else does. And the most ironic part, she didn't need a press conference, a headline, or a brand deal to make it happen. She just showed up over and over again and made sure that if the refs weren't going to draw the line, she would, and she did it in ink. This isn't a side story, it's a turning point, and Sophie lit the fuse. For years, the WNBA kept it clean, too clean. Rivalries were muted, contact was incidental, and when stars got hit, fans were told to calm down. It's all part of the game. Well, that narrative just got body checked into the scorer's table. Sophie Cunningham didn't just step up for Caitlin Clark. She shattered the unspoken rule book, the one that says, be tough, but not too tough. Defend your teammate, but don't make waves. Take the hits, but smile for the cameras. Nah, Sophie didn't smile. She enforced. And now, the whole league is on alert. Players know it. Coaches know it. And whether they'll admit it or not, the front office knows it too. Because the next time someone tries to get cute with Caitlin, they're not just risking a foul. They're risking Sophie turning the entire gym into a courtroom with one whistleless collision. This isn't just one viral moment. This is a shift in power. And if you think this is the last time we'll see it, you haven't been paying attention. If you want to stay locked in on every twist, every headline, every time someone thinks they can get away with testing Sophie or targeting Caitlin, hit that subscribe button now. This isn't a recap, it's a movement, and it's just getting started. So now we've seen it. The footage, the foul, the fallout. We watched Caitlin Clark hit the floor again. We watched the refs ignore it again. But this time, something changed. This time, Sophie Cunningham didn't let it slide. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't wait for justice. She delivered it herself. And while critics scramble to paint her as reckless, fans know better. Sophie didn't destroy the integrity of the game. She restored it. She reminded the league and everyone watching that there are still players willing to take the heat to protect what matters. She may not be the league's favorite face. She may not be getting endorsement deals or smiling on magazine covers. But when it comes to heart, grit, and loyalty, she's undefeated. So whether you call her a hero, a menace, or just the last one standing, know this: the WNBA is no longer a league where you get to rough up a star and walk away clean. Not while Sophie's on the floor. And trust us, this won't be the last time she makes headlines. If you want to be the first to know when it happens again, make sure you're subscribed. Because in this league, the real stories don't show up in the box score.